Welcome to the third and final video in this series, Grow Girl. You can find me on Twitter at WeCanBeAwesome. This third video is entitled New Growth because the PYP and being at an actual PYP school has really pushed me in a lot of different ways. I've also been able to learn from having a growth mindset and about having a growth mindset from some awesome PD that I took, which I will be talking about later in this video. And mostly this journey has been about finding out about agency. It was a word I had not heard until moving to Vietnam, and a lot of people talked about it, and I am only starting this year to really understand what it might mean. So let's get started. When I landed, I felt nervous, but pretty confident in my abilities as a teacher. After all, she says oh so humbly, I had earned Teacher of the Year, I had piloted a flipped classroom, this led to me earning my national board certification, and here was a school that was going to give me absolute freedom. I would have no high-stakes testing, no mandated curriculum. What could go wrong? Well, all that confidence was stripped away pretty quickly. They didn't have a mandated curriculum except for the PYP model, and so I was left really adrift. I had no idea what I should do. They used concepts instead of standards, and so there wasn't really a common expectation for what students were supposed to achieve to be proficient or at grade level, so I had no idea how to give grades. There was a Studio 5 pilot going on at the time, and kids seemed to spend an awful lot of time making slime or watching YouTube and a lot less time teaching math or reading. This led to the follow-up question of how do you get slime out of a kid's hair? This was all pretty humbling, and I admit that I was pretty dismissive at the time. These people are crazy. I'll just teach what I did back in Florida. Surely that will work. Well, my supportive team showed me the ins and outs of the PYP program, which really helped me get a better understanding about, yes, they did have a curriculum, and yes, it was rigorous, and there was a lot of opportunities for growth. And so they showed me how their units were based on the different skills, we call them skills families. And so they had a cardboard carnival based on collaboration skills. They had a performance unit that was based on communication skills. A research unit that was based on, research. They also used the Global Sustainable Development Goals in order to make a unit all about the problem solving and critical thinking that would be needed to develop a better world for everybody. And we actually did this on an island using gamification, which I will completely do another post about because it is so much fun. My team helped me be able to use questions to really spark and provoke student thinking, and this would lead to students' questions, which would then guide the learning and allow me to get out of their way and let them get on with it. And that way I could facilitate the learning rather than lead it. So in addition to my awesome team, we also had a pretty generous professional development budget. We had coaches, we had opportunities to collaborate, we had a well-stocked book room. I was able to attend some really amazing workshops. One workshop I was able to attend was actually at the school. I struggled at home to be able to do mindfulness and to really develop a personal practice. And I attended a weekly workshop offered by our mindfulness coordinator because, yes, we have a mindfulness coordinator. And because of going to her weekly sessions and all the resources that she was able to share, I was able to really see the benefits of self-care both in my life and in the classroom. This connects to growth mindset because I also went to I did an online workshop through Joe Bowler's YouCubed, which you can find at youcubed.com, and in collaboration with Stanford University. This was learning maths for teachers, and it was all about helping students get over their misconceptions about maths ability, that there is no such thing as a maths person or a person who's not a maths person. It's all about how much work you put into it, just like anything else. And So through that, I was able to find out about number chats, which is something I'd heard of before but never done. And really, it was just taking a deeply layered task and unpacking the variety of methods and maths that we creatively use to tackle it. This really was eye-opening for my students to see how they just look at things differently and solve it in different ways. Another aspect of growth mindset that's been really helpful this year is showing my students that to struggle is to grow, and being just very authentic and transparent about my own struggles that I've gone through. We have a strategy in our classroom of choosing your challenge, and so you can choose medium, spicy, or vindaloo depending on how big a challenge you feel like you need. And this has been very helpful in helping the students understand where their misconceptions are, but also where they need to grow. And also honoring those misconceptions has been a huge aspect of promoting the growth mindset in our classroom. So after my rather rough start, my principal checked in with me and explained that I didn't have to prove anything, that I've already got the job, and basically to do what I think is right. Shortly after, I attended the EduLead conference where I had a huge aha moment. I was really eager to learn about this crazy studio model that the school was piloting. It was based on an 80-20 principle. 80% of the time was student-led inquiry and 20% of the time was instructional input. And so it brings me to mind of those slime makers I talked about earlier. They were actually doing a lot more than just making slime. They were learning and using the scientific method. They were writing persuasive and procedural pieces. They were reflecting and changing as part of the design process. They marketed their product. They figured out how much profit they could make, and then they donated to the cause of their choice. If that's not learning, I don't know what is. And so that speaks a lot to the agency that I was learning about at the school. And understanding that agency is not just about having choice, but having actual power over your own learning. And the students exercise this power in incredible ways, and it's been really amazing to watch that process. Never content to sit on the sidelines, grade 3 decided to jump in as well. So we figured out a hybrid studio model where we would figure out where they were starting with the provocation. We would teach specific strategies for a skill, for example, sketch notes for researching and recording info. The students would then pursue a 1 to 2 week personal project based on the unit's skills. The schedule was under their complete control, and they had to manage their own time. They would have an authentic audience to present to when we took the learning public and invited classes, parents, and the community in. So where am I now? I am still deeply curious about how to support students' agency. I still catch myself picking on those students who have their hands raised or who don't look like they're listening, and I really want to move past that. The Enhanced PYP has rolled out a whole heap of new skills for us to get our heads around. And then also, I'm still working on my personal practice of mindfulness, but also promoting a growth mindset into the classroom, valuing the process, not the product, and promoting student self-care as well as my own. The journey so far has been humbling, but very energizing. I started out feeling like I didn't know what to do, and instead I've let the students lead the way. I didn't know how to grade, but I've chosen to demonstrate their growth rather than their proficiency. And I think I am on my way to really understanding how to take that back seat and let the students be in charge of their own learning. So this has all taken place in just over a year, so who knows where I'll grow next. If you have any ideas about professional resources that I could use to help with this growth, I would love to connect with you on Twitter at WeCanBeAwesome, or if you would like to grow your own professional learning community, I would love to see you there. And hopefully together we can change what education looks like so it's not the same sort of school that our parents went to.